Okay, everybody, this is my spoiler review of Wednesday, episode 2, Woe is the Loneliest Number. This was again directed by Tim Burton and written by Alfred Gough and Miles Miller, who are the showrunners. Again, with all my reviews for the show, I'm not going to be spoiling anything that happens after this episode. I'm watching it along with you guys, so this is supposed to be meant as a companion piece to as you're watching the show, and we can go with theories and things that might happen, and just no spoilers in the comments, please, for anything that happens after this episode. Again, some of the writing with Wednesday continues this episode is just fantastic. A lot of the one-liners they give her, I love just how the episode starts, where she's like, this is where the story takes a dark turn. I usually love them, like when the carousel brakes mysteriously failed at my 8th birthday party, but not this dark turn. So that was great. And we see now from the cliffhanger last episode that Rowan's body is now missing. I do think it's strange, though, that his body's missing now, and we learned that she went to Bianca for help, and then that she had passed out and woke up in her dorm room. But the weird thing about it, though, with the continuity is that the last episode ended with her looking at the photos after the incident, so it was strange that we didn't see the direct fallout from him dying in front of her. It like skipped over that and then told us what happened this episode. I thought that was very strange. But I do want to say, when she talks to Principal Weems about it, I just really love the set design in the show, but in particular Principal Weems' office. She's got the giant Gorgon fireplace. I think that is so cool and just looks amazing. So the big twist here is that Rowan then shows up to Wednesday when she's talking to the sheriff about what happened, and that she believes someone's covering this up. And she quotes Edgar Allan Poe, and Edgar Allan Poe's going to have a big part in this episode. And we learned Edgar Allan Poe in this story went to Nevermore. He is the most famous alumni. And she has this great quote, "Believe nothing you hear and half of what you see." And she says he clearly picked it up from Nevermore. Now what I like, and I figured this was going to happen, they're doing a good job at slowly having Wednesday's character evolve a bit, lighten up just a little bit, not too much. And there's a little progress going on, right? So you start to see that, where even the therapist alludes to that she's doing better in therapy just in the sole purpose that she did not leave and try to escape this time. So there's progress. Also, you see a little Easter egg, if you're into that stuff, on the therapist window of her office. It says Miller and Gough Realty. That is the showrunner's last names. Also, we learned more about Tyler's character. One, he quickly says that he also was court ordered to see this therapist, so something's up there. And then we also hear from Xavier later on in the episode that Tyler's not a good person. So the little hints to stuff we don't know about Tyler makes him more interesting and more mysterious. But you see what Wednesday likes about Tyler. And Jenna Ortega does such a good job this whole episode with showing in her eyes that she does care a little bit, does have feelings just a little bit, and is able to convey that really well with her facial expressions. And she has that here when Tyler believes her when no one else does about the monster. Now, Enid also has some great lines in this episode. I love Enid saying that Thing gives a killer neck massage. I love everything with Thing as well. But this is where Enid brings up the Poe Cup. And this is where Enid wants Wednesday to do the race with her, but Wednesday's like, it will cut into my writing time, which is great. And it cuts to her actually writing. And she's like, I always hated the expression, write what you know. It's a hall pass for the imagination impaired. I actually really like that quote and kind of agree with it. But we'll see as this episode goes on. You see that Wednesday looks at the picture, sees that that symbol is actually the Nightshade Society symbol that we'll see on the floor in the hidden library, on the book she keeps referring to this episode, and is actually also on the Edgar Allan Poe statue. That's how she finds out it is the key to getting into this secret area. So then Weems says Rowan was expelled. So Weems also brings up she knows Wednesday's having these visions, and she says your mother had them around your age and they were unreliable and dangerous. So there's a lot going on with Weems in this episode, and we learn more about her, and that her mission in this episode is to cover up what happened to Rowan. She's trying to protect the image of the school and doesn't want responsibility for one of her children being killed by a monster. And she also, we learn, is a shapeshifter, and Thing just misses that big information, but the audience learns it, and that she was posing as this Rowan we're seeing that is still at the school and basically staging him being expelled. But I'm starting to get vibes like she's like a very Professor Snape from Harry Potter type character, where she's giving off untrustworthy vibes, but at the end of the day, she's looking out for Wednesday. Because she starts saying things by the end of the episode that are nice, like your mother also was the last person who won this cup. So I do think there's good in her, and she's looking out for Wednesday. I also love when Wednesday goes to confront Bianca about what happened in the night before. Wednesday sings a note only dogs can hear. I thought that was great and very clever. But I'm talking about little breaks in Wednesday where you see emotional responses happen that aren't really emotional, but they're there deep down. She says to Xavier when he's talking about Tyler and saying he's not a good person, he says girls in glass houses, and she interrupts and says should throw bigger stones, which is a great line. But she says at least I'm not an elitist snob. So she's very defensive of Tyler here, whether she wants to admit that or not. And now we get to meet a new character in Eugene the Beekeeper, who runs the Nevermore Hummers. And we'll see later on Eugene crushing on Enid here. And he says, have you ever taken a honey bath? I have a very big smoker and I can handle it like a pro. Would you like to see it? Okay, so Eugene's going to get himself canceled really fast. So then, switching gears a bit, we also see that Miss Thornhill, played by Christina Ricci, the former Wednesday, is teaching this carnivorous plants class. And we learn a lot in this scene that Xavier, with his drawings, they can come to life. And they're like illusions, and he draws a spider. So that's interesting because that could be something that's happening. Maybe this monster's an illusion that he's controlling, that he's putting illusions out there in general. And when Bianca and Wednesday are talking about the ghost orchid, they're both really talking about Wednesday and their situation, their relationship with each other, which was good writing. I like that. And we also learn about the character of Tyler, is that he's got some serious daddy issues and that his mom, something has happened to her. She's probably passed away. And he's not have a good relationship with his father, the sheriff. Now, everything, like I said, with Thing and Wednesday are like my favorite, with those two on screen together. And Enid mentions that Thing is mad at Wednesday. All I know is we spent an hour giving each other manis and he really opened up. That is just a hysterical image in my head. And she's like, he feels like you don't respect him as a person. And she goes, well, technically he's only a hand. Great. And again, another scene, an example of Jenna Ortega just showing great care in her eyes. That's very little, but it's there, that she does care about Thing, and that would really upset her, that she's upsetting him. And Enid says, go apologize and I'll consider helping you. So Enid is this character trying to get the best out of Wednesday consistently. And Wednesday's like the Thing, I snap at you, I'll check my tone in the future. Chop, chop. And he still doesn't like the apology. And I love just the communication he has with just the symbols he's giving her. And she's like, what is it you want? Hand cream, nail buffer, new cuticle scissors. It's just great stuff. All of it making me laugh. And she's like, I know I'm stubborn, single-minded, and obsessive, but those are all traits of great writers. And Thing points finger guns. And she said, yes, and serial killer. It's just so funny. But what's so important at the end of the scene is that she says this picture, the picture with her and this pilgrim figure and the fire, she's like, this picture confirmed my greatest fear. That I'm going to do something terrible. Not good terrible like Ivan referring to the piranhas, bad terrible. So this is good that they differentiate that in Wednesday's mind and that the audience gets that and that's how she thinks and views certain things. And she's like, that's why I need to find out the truth. This is good motives for her to be this obsessed with this case and this monster. This makes it make more sense that she's becoming like this detective because she doesn't want to, at the end of the day, hurt people that don't deserve it. Now, when she talks to Thornhill about the vision she had about the book and the nightshade symbol, she mentions the name Nightshade, and then Wednesday says Nightshade, like the deadly flower. She's saying this is a flower lady. So there's a lot going on with Christina Ricci's character of Thornhill. I think she's also a misdirect, or you might not trust her. She says she's the only normie on staff, which I don't believe for a second. But what's important, she says she never really fit in anywhere. Too odd for the normies and not odd enough for the outcasts. And she also mentions that half the current staff doesn't like her. So at the end of this conversation with Wednesday, she says, you can always come and talk to me. So I think she's another character that has a long history here. We don't know much about Mysterious, which is good. A lot of mysterious characters here, but I do think she's also looking out for Wednesday and relate to Wednesday, something she's gone through that she sees in Wednesday. And she says something very nice to Wednesday where she's like showing Wednesday that it's a gift that she doesn't care what people think about her. She's like, never lose that Wednesday, the ability to not let others define you. It's a gift. The most interesting plants grow in the shade. Great, great writing here too. So we see now Bianca's jealous of Wednesday getting this attention from Xavier. He's even got a drawing of her in his book that Wednesday finds as she's looking through his room. Overhere's Bianca's planning to rig the Poe Cup. And we learn from Enid that Bianca actually gave Yoko garlic bread, which she's allergic to, which is crazy. And she's lost her co-pilot now. So this is when Wednesday's like, I'll do it. She's going to join the Black Cats now because she says she wants to humiliate Bianca. But Enid's like, not just because you want to help a friend. And clearly, again, by the great performance of Jenna Ortega, you could see in her eyes, yes, there's a little bit of her. Obviously, her main motivation is to help Enid. She cares about her. So Wednesday just smartly knows you just have to beat Bianca at her own game, which is sabotage. Now, the Black Cat costume that Wednesday is wearing, knowing Tim Burton directed this episode, was clearly inspired by Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman outfit, and it looked great. And I love seeing the lake environment they're at. It just gives the Addams Family values vibes. And remember, Wednesday says at the start of the race to Bianca, for the record, I don't believe I'm better than everyone else, just that I'm better than you. So she's basically calling Bianca out and told her, I heard everything you said. And I love this Poe Cup in this race. It just adds to building this world and the traditions in it. It's very cool, and again, feels very inspired by Harry Potter, Hunger Games type shows and movies. So another turn of events is when Wednesday goes to capture the flag, she touches the Joseph Crackstone tomb. So that name's definitely going to be important. And it causes a vision, and she sees this mysterious reflection. It seems like of an older version of herself, so we'll see what that's all about. But this reflection says you are the key, so we'll see what that means. But I'm guessing if we follow the picture when she's facing that pilgrim figure, she's the key to stopping whatever I think that figure's the one causing the fire. Now, I like that they win the race, and it needs, like, admit it, you got the whole school spirit thing. And she's like, you didn't tell me it was a dark, vengeful spirit. So it works. It honors the character of Wednesday for it to be this celebratory moment in Wednesday style. So this, though, we'll see, she's sitting under the Edgar Allan Poe statue and then sees the nightshade symbol. That makes her look more into it. And she figures out the Poe riddle on the statue, and it leads to her seeing the riddle as snap twice. So this is a nice callback, obviously, to the Addams Family theme song. I also like, too, when we see Enid, by the way, if you caught this when they cut to Wednesday in her room, Enid is sleeping with the Poe Cup trophy. I thought that was hysterical. But this statue of Edgar Allan Poe opens the secret library, and it belongs to the Nightshade Society that her mom and dad were in. And she finds the exact book she's seen in her visions, the one that Rowan ripped the picture out from, and she gets a bag put over her head. And it's a good cliffhanger. And I actually enjoyed this episode even a little more than the first episode. I thought it had a really good pace to it, good mystery, and again, really, really funny scenes with Thing and Wednesday together. And also Jenna Ortega is just doing amazing, and she got to really show in this episode again how to balance showing this character with basically no emotion and not having much feelings, but able to show a little bit of that heart deep down in her eyes and not pushing it too far either way. Great job. Really good episode. I'm giving it an 8.9. Let me know down below what you thought of this episode. Please make sure to subscribe so you don't miss one of my reviews. I have every episode out for Wednesday. You can check out and watch these reviews as you go along. I won't be spoiling any future episodes, I promise. And please follow me at Steve Varley Show on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok for more of me. And I'll see you next time.